Hello fellow wargamers and history buffs. For those of you that have followed the channel for a while, you'll know that every summer for the last 5 years or so, I have been teaching a summer class to basically elementary school and middle school kids called the History of the Napoleonic Wars. And during this class, we learn about, of course, Napoleon and the French Revolution and all the things that are happening during the Napoleonic Wars. And we're playing war games so the kids can learn about the tactics and battles and geography and all that good stuff. And this year, I started using this particular game, Manoeuvre from GMT, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about it and how it worked for the class. Now, Manoeuvre comes with a number of components. One of the ones that's most plentiful are the little map pieces here. You get a whole bunch of these, and you can then use them to put together various and sundry battlefields. So nothing is necessarily historic, but you've got stuff where you've got woods and hills and forests and villages and lakes and rivers and whatnot. And so you can then basically create a variety of maps and battlefields from that. In addition to that, you're going to have cards, a deck of cards for each of the major powers, and then you're going to have pieces that represent their units. And these are typically infantry pieces and cavalry pieces. And then you've got a variety of dice that come with it. And depending on what's on the card and what kind of attack you're making, you're going to use a set of dice that's appropriate for that particular attack. And then you're looking to see what your result is compared to your opponent's result to get the ultimate response. Now, the game turn is pretty straightforward and simple. Players are going to alternate moving their pieces, and in most cases, unless you have a special card, you're only going to be able to move one piece at a time. And so each player is moving. There's not really an idea of a front or a flank or anything like that. There are advantages to being in hills and villages and woods and things like that for defense. And so the players will start to learn then the advantages of launching their attacks or holding up and being defensive in places. The players are moving their pieces kind of like you would on a checkers board. You can't go diagonally, you're just going front, backwards, or sideways. Okay? And it's very simple, alternating pieces moving along. If you want to have combat, you need to have the matching card from your hand, then that you would then play to initiate some sort of attack on your opponent. Either a direct attack, a melee type of attack, or some sort of bombardment. So the players are going through their cards, drawing new cards, playing cards, and then trying to get the cards that they need to launch the attacks that they want. The game comes with 2 player aid cards. The player aid card has your sequence of play. It also then talks about how you would go through resolving combat and various highlighting of important rules. And then here you've got the results for your assaults or ambushes. And what you're looking at is you're comparing your die roll to the defender's value, and that might be just the pure value they have on their piece, or it might be that plus something that their card might enable them to do. And then if you're greater than that, then you're going to have success. If you're less than that, then you're going to be losing. So it's all very straightforward, and the kids were able to understand this very easily. The other thing is that it's got your terrain chart here, letting you know about what is going on when you're moving through some of these different places, how they might enhance your defense, if they block your line of sight, and if they might help you out with an attack. Now, the basic set comes with decks and pieces for the Austrians, the French, Great Britain, the Ottoman Empire, Prussia, Russia, Spain, and the United States. Each of these then has a certain amount of what you would call their flavor, based on their national doctrine or whatnot, represented by the different special cards that you're going to have in your deck. So a number of the nations have things that are particular that kind of capture that. For example, The United States has a fair number of ambush cards. The French have got this force march card, and they've got a lot of leadership cards. The Spanish have the guerrilla cards. So a number of different special cards that show up here are ones that are unique sometimes to that particular nation, or they get more of those cards because it's something that kind of fits with their national doctrine better. Now, the game was pretty easy for the kids to learn and jump right into. After a day or so, they started to get the hang of it, and some of them were able to really start to use the mechanics and the cards and everything else to a good effect. We only had an hour for each class, so typically the kids only had about 45 minutes or so to actually play the game. Most of the time they weren't coming to a conclusion. It was usually a case, though, that one person had maybe done more damage to the other side than the other, inflicting losses on the other person and causing them to either eliminate pieces or do partial damage to them. And so we could say, okay, you've done more damage to the other guy, so you would have been the winner, type of a thing. I think if you're going to be sitting down and playing this, it's going to take you an hour or more to come to what the victory conditions are in the booklet. And you can also modify things to maybe make it go a little faster than what they suggest here. But I would say for a young person, if you want to introduce them to war games, particularly Napoleonic war games, this might be a very good option for you. There's lots of replayability, given the fact that there's so many different nations represented, plus all the different types of arrangements you can have for the maps. And then, of course, the variability of the draw from the card deck. So lots of opportunities to replay this, have fun with it, switch sides, and generally get a good feel for the combat of the time period and kind of get somebody's feet wet on Napoleonic wargaming. So that is a quick overview of Manoeuvre from GMT. The kids had a lot of fun playing it. I played it a few times as well with the kids when we had an odd number of students. The youngest student we had in the class was 9 and the oldest was 13. And so they were all able to get into with it, understand it. It was not that complicated. So really worked out well. So if you have a young person that you want to teach, I'd say give this one a try. And if you want to look for a quick game that you can play with a buddy, maybe on an evening where you've just got an hour, maybe an hour and a half, or you're going to go down to the pub and you want to play a game, this would be a fun one to do. You don't necessarily need to be sober to do it successfully. Just like most of the Napoleonic generals weren't necessarily sober when they were doing what they were doing. So how should I finish this up? I think I'm going to say drink responsibly, play responsibly. And until our next episode, be well.